I'm Sophia Cassiola.
And I'm Michael J. Epstein.
And you're watching
Without Your Head.
Woo. And we're live here at Without Your Head. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching Angry Asian Murder Hornets.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, we have Craig Muckler here, executive producer.
Hello there.
Hello.
Greg.
Erik Anthony Russo, assistant director, and he's also in the movie.
Oh, hi, what's going on? How you doing?
And a great job.
Yes, excellent job. And Dustin Ferguson, the director.
It is me. Hey.
That's very good.
Oh, of course.
So I got to ask, first of all, like, how did you get this out so fast? You know, you know, unless you were just happened to be making an Angry Asian Murder Hornets movie and like, wow, what great timing.
Well, you know, I'm known for my pacing, you know, the way I do things. I usually pump out a movie in about a 2-week time frame. As you notice in the film, there's a lot of longer takes and stuff like that, and that really helps when you're working on a lower budget, you know, to get to closer to feature length. So that's really just how we did it. Pretty much we lay it out right there in the movie. We started this right after 5G Zombies, right when they started talking about murder hornets in the media. It would just like hit me as soon as it happened because I had got that B-roll of the beehive. And I was like, oh my God, we can make this movie. Like use the beehive footage. And it just became this whole
Great.
Yeah. So you just happened to get the beehive though before anything like this happened?
Yeah, because we were hiking. That's like down the street from my house, literally. So that's where we hike about once a week. And so we were hiking up there because we were actually checking out the location for the beast beneath. And so we were walking up to it, and I look over and there's like, oh, there's a sweet ass beehive, and I didn't have my phone. So I was like, Jared, get a shot of that. And so he did, and then it just all ended up being a part of this movie.
Yeah. Because I noticed you said you had B-roll for some other stuff too. So is that just something like when you're around and you see something cool, it's like, get this, and we can put in something at some point?
It always happens like that because we go, you know, we really enjoy the scenery out here. So we go hiking a lot. We go to the beach. We do all that stuff. And so whenever I see something that looks cinematic, it just always hits me. I'm like, oh, like a sense of urgency. I'm like, get a shot. We got to use it. We're going to use it. And I always end up using it.
Yeah. So, Craig, how did you get involved with this?
And I must say this.
Go on. Yeah.
You know, and the amazing thing here is probably a couple of days after the news broke on these Hornets, I had already people calling me, how in the hell did you do that? And I said, you know, that was the news. Now our movie is the news.
All right. So how did you get involved with this then? Craig?
Well, actually, you know, we've been wanting to work together, you know, for a while. I did make the movie Microwave Massacre, and I'm involved with the Joseph Williamson Agency. And next thing you know, this was actually like a marriage made in heaven or in hell, maybe in our case, and it just meant to actually be. Because I make cult films, and I think we just gravitated to each other in this case.
Yeah. Which I'm a big fan of Microwave Massacre, by the way.
In person at Harley's premiere, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Agronon's Gate.
Yep.
It's great.
Oh, yeah, I know that movie. Yeah, with who you just mentioned, but I've seen the movie and I interviewed a bunch of people.
Juan was in it.
Yeah, and Jan Birch.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So, Erik, how did you initially get involved with Dustin?
Oh boy. Well, I initially helped out. I've been in Dustin for a few of Dustin's movies, and when 5G Zombies came out, he'd asked me, "You want to put together a scene for that?" And I said, "Sure enough," and I contributed to that. And then when he had the idea for Murder Hornets, I think it was a big. Well, he told me I got a big announcement. I can't tell you yet. All right, fine. I'll wait. I'll keep it quiet. And then he told me about it. Would you like to put together a scene for? I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So yeah, I got my buddy Mike. He's right. All right, Mike Ferguson. I got him involved. You're sorry.
Hey, Mike.
What's up? So he's my roommate. So yeah, I pulled together my cousins are featured in there. They helped me out with 5G Zombies as well. There's two twin girls. You notice them in the film. And yeah, we pulled it together, and we did it in a day, and we just, yeah, I just love doing stuff for Dustin. It's a good time, and I'm really happy to be involved.
Yeah. Mike and Dustin, is there any relation there, the Fergusons, or It's just a coincidence.
No, and it's funny.
Oh,
It causes a lot of confusion because he always calls me brother on Facebook. He's always like, "Thanks, brother," and so everyone thinks he's my brother, but no, we're not related.
Right,
Mike, you're not Dustin's brother, are you?
not by blood.
Yeah,
He's my brother. Holy cow!
So how because Erik just said that he did his scene, and obviously right now you can't everyone get together and make make something together. So how did it all come about? Like, what's kind of walk us through that?
Who wants to start?
basically.
Dustin. Yeah, Dustin.
Well, I had reached out to Erik, like he had said, through Messenger, kind of the way I did with 5G Zombies. And I was like, look, I want to do this other movie, kind of like writing off the success of 5G Zombies. Let's kind of do something similar, because he had self-filmed a segment for that ended up being like a full-fledged sort of like subplot to the movie. And so like I told him, I was like, let's do something like that again. And so really the way this happened so fast was he was able to go film his scenes the same time I'm here filming my scenes. So he's over there with Mike, at his place filming, and I'm over here with Jared filming. We got John Walker in the UK filming. So everybody was kind of doing it at the same time, and then suddenly everybody sent me their clips. And it was like 2 days of editing, and it was done.
Yeah. Was that hard to get? Go on, sorry.
I actually had a call from the head, one of the Midwest heads of the Associated Press about it. He says, what the heck? He says, this is miraculous. And so at some point, he's going to probably do a story on this whole event, because he said it's miraculous to beat the press at their own game.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know you guys have mentioned a documentary. Is that like a real thing? You guys want to do a documentary about actually getting this out?
I don't know. That's Craig being Craig.
It will be like a mockumentary.
A mockumentary. Yeah.
Why not?
I love it.
That'll be the sequel. It'll be a mockumentary.
Was it hard to get because I've seen things that are done similarly, people are filming something in different parts, but like the audio track doesn't really match, so was that hard to get, because it looks like it's a cohesive thing that, everyone's stuff is connected.
Well, really, before I was a director, I was an editor. The first thing I did was Sleepaway Camp 4. That's actually how I broke on to the scene. And so that's really my niche, is like finding how to piece the parts together right. And so really what I had done is created sort of like an outline that I wrote down of the specific scenes I needed to tell the story, and this sort of just pieced it off to everybody. I had basic requirements. I was like, can you mention, that they've invaded here? Can you mention it's this day? Like certain things, so that the storyline would all tie together. And so like all those phone conversations were filmed separate, but yet they nailed it so perfectly, it looks like they're having the real conversations, because everybody really stuck to the script. And so it really was just relying on actors that know what they're doing and that are responsible and have proven time and time again, that they're excellent at what they do.
Yeah. From the years doing the show, usually filmmakers who are editors like by trade, tend to be able to edit their movies easier. Because a lot of people, I think, they get attached to things, and then it's harder to cut something out. And you could look at it as a movie.
I don't even film the stuff in the first place that would get cut out. It's like I know ahead of time, like this is exactly what I need, so we just go film it, and then that's exactly what we use.
Yeah, obvious from the movie. Some things weren't cut out. I'm just kidding, but
right. Hey, I had to push an hour. What can I say?
Yeah. Which I think go on, Sir Craig.
I must also say this. One of the big things I'm really proud and does for you that score is really one of the best.
Oh, that's great.
Riveting scores in years.
That's the same guy that did my score for Axe to Pieces. He's a really talented guy. He's very inspired by like John Carpenter, obviously, which is a big inspiration to me. So a lot of those scenes, I knew ahead of time I was going to get his music. So that's why a lot of those sequences exist in the film, with like Jared taking the long walks, because we had to make room for that stuff. And I think that it really adds an artistic flavor to it while adding running time.
Yeah, I was going to mention that exact same thing. Was like, like a long scene like that, if you didn't have score, if you had the score, it didn't quite work. It would be it's like, oh wow, this is just going. But the score is so good, it really, you just go with it. It wouldn't work otherwise.
Well, and I've gotten to a point of perfecting those types of scenes, because honestly, I'm very self-aware of what I make, and people criticize that in my films a lot, about the long takes and sequences like that. But it's sort of like one of those things where it's my moment to inject some artistic integrity into the film while also figuring out a way other than having topless girls to make it 5 minutes longer. You know what I mean? Like, try and do something that at least, if it's a part where you want to go get a beer or take a hit, that's the moment. So you get right back into the story after.
Right. Yeah. And I won't name names, but I know many movies like the latter that you mentioned, where they just will put in, a topless person for quite a while in the movie.
Right.
And Dustin, I must say this too. One of my favorite films, obviously, is The Birds. And I got to tell you, there's a sequence in The Birds with nothing happening inside out, nothing. And then all of a sudden, there's scenes where he's walking, nothing happening, but my God, you're frightened what's going to happen. So, so a little bit of Hitchcock, I know, rubbed off on you, Dustin.
I really appreciate that, Craig. Thank you.
Definitely, it felt very impending with the soundtrack and the walking. You knew something was going to happen. It was impending, just building up.
Exactly, Eric.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where the artistry comes in, and my editing ability. Because like you were saying, Neal, that could have been a sequence without music, and people would have just shut it off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, who's going to sit there for like 6 minutes while someone's walking around if there's not at least good cinematography and good music to kind of capture you and pull you in?
Mm-hmm. And I saw you mention it like in the chat that I don't know the name, I'm sorry, but someone did the opening, like kind of the intro to everything.
Yeah, that was Jason Horton, because he was another person I had reached out to, because he does documentaries full time, like for Amazon. Like I was in an anxiety documentary he did recently, and I've worked with him quite a few times. And so I had actually reached out to him to get him involved. And I was like, hey, because there's this movie in the 90s, I think it was 1995, called Deadly Invasion, The Killer Bee Nightmare. And it had sequences like that where it's like started out with, or looked like a documentary, and it's like, here's the bees coming to America, the killer bees are coming. And then it also ended with that warning where it's like, even though this was fictional, this could happen. And so I contacted Jason to do a sequence like that. I was like, hey, you do documentaries, you're pro at this, do me a really ridiculous opening piece that's like a documentary. And that's what he gave me, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it totally gets you in right away. It's a pretty awesome scene.
Yeah.
And then the music hits. So everyone here in the chat was AJ says he gives it 5 Bs out of 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So how about like creating the actual Hornet? Go on, Craig. I'm sorry.
And it has the biggest buzz of any film this year.
I applaud that.
I don't
Speaking of that, I also do like the buzz sound effects. Add a lot to the movie.
Exactly.
I had to do all that myself. I mean, it's like we literally. I mean, I keep telling people, they're like, God, how much did you spend on this? How did you do it so quick? I'm like, we didn't spend. Like this was a labor of love. We didn't make money on this until I did the associate producer credits. So then I could pay like the CGI person and the FX person and all these other things. So then things could get paid off. So this was really like a team effort, like, which is why it's important that people like Craig involved to help with our publicity, people like Erik to help with us shooting footage, and gather all of the elements together to really make this.
And I must say this after getting involved, because I know a lot of people in the industry that know me, and I've already have, believe it or not, once they open, a few theaters would like to actually show this like a midnight special already.
It'd be perfect. It'd be perfect. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, what's that like, Erik? Though you're in the movie, but you can't. Well, we watch it here with people, but you right now you can't go to the theater and watch it with someone because you guys are in LA. So a lot of things get dope.
I would love to see, like Craig just said, to see a midnight screening of that. To see myself on screen. It'd be amazing.
There you go.
I'm sad about that, right? No,
yeah,
we're gonna do it. Okay,
I don't think Erik's
we're gonna do it, Erik.
My theatrical movies yet, so we have to get this one shown.
Yeah, we will.
You mentioned it. You mentioned in the chat that the black dildo scene was cut. So was that cut on the TV airing?
Yes. Well, it aired recently, on TV like a little over a week ago, and it was like basic cable, and so they had to censor it. And I knew when I gave it to them, when I gave it to the station, I warned them. I was like, so there's a few scenes with these two characters. Pay extra attention to that because there's a lot of swearing. And so It was funny because they completely chopped it up. Like they cut out that scene, they kind of rearranged a couple things, muted all the cuss words, so it's almost incoherent on the TV version, which almost makes it better. It's like, what is even happening?
Will you ever release that version of it, the TV cut?
Yeah, well, I'm actually good friends with the host of that, Lee Turner, and so we sort of have an agreement to, like, he puts a lot of them on TV, then I could do the DVD releases. So I'm going to include his segments on, like, an upcoming Blu-ray release.
Okay.
You know, I actually had a film years ago called Malibu High, and all of a sudden they put it on like late night TV. And I swear to God, half the movie was gone.
Yeah.
No, it was gone. I mean, Jesus.
And it's weird because most people get used to seeing it that way. You know, like most people in the world have only seen Murder Hornets on the TV version, which is it's frustrating, but at least it gets out there. You know.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So, where did you film your stuff, Erik? Like right outside there? Or?
Actually, well, I live in my aunt and uncle's house. So I have a little small backyard. We use it kind of like a picnic area, and I actually film the scenes where there's a park ranger. There's a blonde in the beginning, the blonde girl. Her name's Elizabeth Barstow. We filmed her parts in Rhode Island, so she filmed all her stuff in Rhode Island. And like you know,
that's near me.
Yeah, she Google Drive all her footage. And Dustin used her family's. There's a scene where her families run around the park. That's filmed in Rhode Island as well. So Dustin was able to put it all together and make it happen. So yeah, mine's kind of like East Coast, West Coast at the same time.
Yeah. So the black dildo stuff, was that something that was scripted out, or was that just something Mike was talking about, or what?
Eric and Mike, I gave total creative freedom to, so that's all them. They ad-libbed that. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Mike was really pushing that whole black dildo storyline.
Whoa! Okay.
It's coming in. Oh, Jesus, coming in. Uh-oh. They want to know what the black dildo is.
We do a lot of stuff. Kind of our thing. Did you?
Black dildo.
Well, you know, that was what I thought was funny. And I just like, he wasn't ready for it. Like, he was about to start laughing.
Right.
But at one point,
you have to be prepared for the black dildo, or it's bad times ahead.
Yeah,
that's great.
Look, I just thought it was a good bit to play, and he wasn't expecting it, but he went with it. I mean, it was
I did 2 movies in a row with the black dildo because my movie, The Last Roommate, actually had a black dildo in it. You guys go and bringing it up.
Great.
I'm obsessed with them.
I don't know.
Everyone thinks it's Dustin's thing. Yeah. It's part of his cinematic
it's not
universe.
Me. I swear.
I know you covered this in the chat, but you know, for people who weren't in the chat, AJ asked, "How did Sean C. Phillips get involved?"
Okay, so Sean had been someone who reached out to me when I was still living in Nebraska when I made Camp Blood 4. He asked if he could be involved if he had self-filmed something, would I find a way to work it in? So he did, and then that's when we connected and we sort of became friends. And then when I moved out to California, now I only live like less than 30 minutes from him. So he's able to actually come over and be in a lot of my movies. So then, of course, during this quarantine thing with the self-filming, it made natural sense to have him do it because he's done it before and he does his YouTube stuff. So I knew I could rely on him to shoot it how I needed it. And he's so efficient. Like, it was like I sent him a message and 10 minutes later, he's like, I got the clip. Here you go. And I'm like, what? We haven't even started the movie yet, you know? And so he's really good. So I go to him every time because I know he can add a lot of humor to the movie. And he's just so good at coming up with his own dialogue.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, he just has a persona about him that's it just makes you kind of smile just when you see him, I think.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, it's a moment to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even just like his walk, actually, when he's going outside. There's just something about it.
He's got to go swimming with some bow-legged women.
Right. AJ says the film
would realism, though.
You know? It is. AJ says the film would be cool to watch at a drive-in theater, since you can go to those now.
Oh, that's definitely those were the movies that inspired this. Movies like Them and The Beginning of the End, all those classics. It's cheesy on purpose, you know. It's like, I know some people look at this and like, wow, that's really cheap effects. It's like, duh, that we made that on purpose. It's supposed to be this kind of movie, y'all.
Yeah.
So it would be perfect on a screen like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually would make Roger Corman proud. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who did the effects of the Hornets?
It was two people. It was me. I did the big Hornets, and then the small ones where they were first arriving was Mark Lunn, and he was the same guy that did the ones in the news segment. So he's one of John Walker's friends from the UK. He sent me his news segment, and I was so impressed with the bees and that. I was like, dude, can you like do a few of my scenes? And so he agreed to do it. And so he handled all the scenes with the small ones, like with Sherry and with the guy running down the sidewalk at the beginning. And then he did the one busting out of my eye. And then I did all the big ones coming down, like raining down on people and stuff.
The eye scene's great. Obviously, use it for the poster art. Was that always like the idea, or once you saw it, like this needs to be used?
Well, yeah, and that was done later because I actually kind of panicked because I made the poster first, and I make these exploitive posters, obviously, to get attention and grow interest. And then I always realize after I do them, like, shit, I got to deliver. You know, like I better show this in the movie. So it sort of became this thing I started like getting paranoid about because I was like, well, I got my cameo in it, and literally all that happened was I was just supposed to like call somebody, and that was supposed to be my only part. And I ended up thinking more and more. I was like, why don't I do the cameo? I can shave my head. I can walk down to the park. I can position myself just like in the poster. I can have Mark do the CGIB, and it just all happened.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So when you did get the poster out there initially, what was like the response?
It was, it was really interesting because this was right after 5G Zombies. And when I did that, I didn't expect it to really get any attention. It was like a way for us to make a movie in quarantine where everybody could self-film things and just to put some product out to make some money. And then that just like blew up all over the internet. So then I was like, crap, like I got to do something now to keep the momentum going. So then it was like the Murder Hornets thing. And then so I had to come up with a really exploitive poster because that's the first piece of any part of the movie you put out. And that's what either makes people want to follow the project or not. So it was sort of just like, just envisioning what the movie's about and then creating the poster. And then just every time I do that, I'm like, all right, this is my motivation to go make this happen now. And that's just what happened.
I must say, a couple weeks ago, a good friend of mine is Spencer Wilding himself from the UK. Darth Vader, Star Wars, Rogue One, right? He calls me and says, God, Craig, that has to be one of the best posters I've ever seen, even better than the movies I've been in. And that's the truth.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's gotten a lot of, it's funny because I'm really hard on myself. Like I made that poster, and so I don't like it. You know what I mean? It's like, nothing I do ever feels like it's professional. It's always like when I send my movie to another distributor and they do the artwork, then I'm like, there's the professional art. And so I had to actually I hired Gaz Jackson, who done like my old Rebel Woman poster, Nemesis art. And I had him do that newer Murder Hornets poster just for me, really, so I could feel like, here's the official art. This makes it look like the right monster movie that I was aiming for. Because even though it seems like people like the first poster better, it's just one of those things. Like I can't accept it as the official art.
I understand. Adrian wants to know, can you get a copy of the poster or merchandise, such as DVDs or anything?
Yeah, the DVD's available, on the Kunaki DVD store. I'm going to be offering that poster comes as a mini poster actually in the DVD. Okay. And I'm going to be offering a bundle deal when we do the Blu-ray release. That'll come with an 11x17.
All right. Do you know when the Blu-ray's coming out or?
Probably closer to the fall because we have the 5G Zombies Blu-ray coming out in the next couple weeks. So we're going to kind of let that go for a couple months and then we'll do the Murder Hornets.
Yeah. You were probably excited when the Hornet news came out because you're like, hey, this is something I can.
Just like scouring Facebook. I'm like, what's the next thing? And so we got Ebola Rex coming because the Ebola's coming back. I'm like, all right, here we go, guys.
Great.
Yeah. At least with the Hornets, it's not as I don't think it's as life threatening anyway. We'll find out, but.
Well, right. It can be taken as just like the hoopla that happened in the 50s with the monster movies. It's paranoia and it's more just fun than anything.
Yeah. You mentioned
life imitates life, art,
Exactly. So you said Rattlers was a big inspiration to the movie, so you used the clip of it. I'm not actually familiar with that movie, but what is it about?
Yeah,
Rattlers?
Oh my gosh. I love it's a 70s made for TV movie. And it's interesting because what happened was we were supposed to make The Beast Beneath a couple months ago before the pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. And in The Beast Beneath, since it's such a similar storyline with a creature in the ground that had like snake-like tentacles, it was supposed to be an homage having rattlers in it. But then because we ended up filming this movie, we ended up putting rattlers in this. And then I decided that when we do Beast Beneath at the end of the month, we'll put Murder Hornets in that.
Yes.
So Murder Hornets have a cameo in that movie.
Yeah. So Erik,
but no, it's a film. It's a snake. It's a snake movie. That it's sort of like a sound that's like, I think it's in California, and it's, you know, cracks in the earth, opens up a bed of snakes and mayhem. It's very PG, which is what I say makes the inspiration for this. Because other than Erik and Mike swearing, this is a very PG movie.
Now, Erik, did you get to see the movie as like he was editing together, or did you see it all finished for the first time?
I saw it before, with like a final cut before it got released.
Yeah.
And it looks great. I was very happy with it.
Well, and we got to mention the mustard scene. We got to bring it up. We got to bring up the mustard scene.
I don't want to. Yeah.
Okay,
it'll be the Blu-ray edition.
Yes.
I don't want to say too much, but it's there's a different ending to my scene.
Oh,
yes, very different.
It turns to a full-fledged comedy. I don't know how much you want to say, Dustin. It's up to you.
Yeah, well, so basically, because I told Erik, you know, I told him, like, in a nutshell what I needed. I was like, I want, like, a picnic scenario with you and your family. The Hornets show up, you're attacked, and you die. That's literally all I told him. So he goes and he does that and then builds upon it this whole sequence where they have to stop the Hornets by using mustard because the Hornets are afraid of the color yellow. And so he has his little cousins and Mike spraying him with mustard. So there's like, it's a whole scene where he's just covered in mustard. And when I saw it, I mean, I cracked up. I was like, dude, we can't do this in the movie. Like, this kills the mood. So I was like, I promise we'll make it a deleted scene. It'll be really funny for people to see as its own scene. Because you can tell watching the movie how that would sort of derail it a little bit in the cost of the film. But it's still a really funny sequence. And I think it sort of fits in its own way.
You know, and I must say, this film is going to have a long shelf life. I've already been invited when they start opening to some more horror shows like Cinema Wasteland, and they can hardly wait for me to come there to show off the movie. Besides awesome. The other ones I've done. So already there's fans waiting for it.
Mm-hmm. So
nice.
Is this the first movie, Craig, that you and Dustin worked on? Because you said earlier that like this is the start of more.
Yeah, well, and he's going to be my executive producer on Arachnado. And so we also have talked a little bit about a part 2 to Murder Hornets. So there's
got that right.
And I know
Spencer Wilder even wants to be the monster Hornet.
Yeah. So watch for more madness from us both for sure.
You got that right.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the drug dealer might not be dead. He might just not have any eyes. So, we see him return.
Always
That's
an
right.
excuse to bring me back.
Don't spoil it or anything.
With contacts.
Yeah. Eye implants.
You got that right.
Yeah. So, obviously, like you said, you can do stuff like this. So, what are you currently working on? I know you're trying to get, this out here at the moment, but are you working on anything else at the moment?
Yeah, well, we start filming next Friday with actually Erik and Mike. I'm filming their scene for The Beast Beneath out here in Murrieta. And so we'll be filming that basically throughout the rest of this month. And then I start Ebola Rex. And around the same time I'm starting Ebola Rex, we're doing Snow Popcorn and Sticky Floors, which is my in-house documentary.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, and Craig, is this,
So yeah, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, you made a lot of these crazy movies, and then now you're, with an up and coming director making these. This must be fun for you to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I actually started out, way back with Wes Craven by my side, and he helped me get my art director back then, Robert Burns, was his art director for The Hills Have Eyes. So what an inspiration that Wes Craven helped me out with some of my thought process. And then I see a guy like Dustin comes along, and he actually reminds me of my protege, Wes Craven. How about that?
Oh, that means a lot, man.
That's pretty amazing. Very good. Erik,
Awesome.
Yeah. Is Mike going to be in any of these? Are you pulling Mike into Bowler X or anything?
I know. I won a found footage clip. I'm putting together now.
Oh yeah, found footage of fear. That one too.
That one I'm putting together. Actually, I'm finishing that up tonight, so I should have it by Monday. So that's good. That's coming out. When's that coming out? Like soon?
It comes out like in the beginning of July.
Yeah, so that's going to come this weekend. I'll be in the Beast Beneath. I'll be that. We're filming that next Friday. This next Friday we're doing. Mike's coming in. Oh, watch out. And then we'll see what Dustin's got for me to do after that. I'm always willing to either act or help film or whatever we're gonna do to help out. Yeah, I'm part of the team, so I want to be able to help out anywhere I can.
Very cool. Any dildos popping up in any of these future ones? Or?
Ooh, Mike, any dildos?
You'll have to watch to find out.
Hit the flashlight. Wait, Mike got something. Hold on, wait a minute. Mike's got something. It's better than a dildo. Hold on, 1 second. Hold on. Uh-oh. Here we come, guys.
Guys, I want to show you something.
Oh no.
A single guy for the first time in a while. I want to show you black gold. Black gold, gentlemen. Black gold. My girlfriend.
I'm gonna.
See, it's all them. It ain't me. It ain't me.
I promise. I'll keep it out of any movies I've done, but I'll keep it out of like.
You could combine them and put out like a murder hornet fleshlight in the future.
Exactly.
Marketing idea. Marketing gold. Instead of black gold, it's marketing gold.
Hey, Dustin, is there a video game you having coming out for?
The video game comes out July 1st. Angry Asian Murder Hornets flash game. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Old school 8-bit flash game.
Oh, that's sweet. Where will that be?
I'll just offer through my Facebook. It's going to be like basically for free. So
yeah. That's very cool. Very good. Well, this has been really fun. I'm glad you guys did it. And
Great fun.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this would be cool to do again sometime.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
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 Thank you so much.
Do it again.
It's a pleasure working with all of you. And in the
Pleasure
future,
meeting
guys
you.
say that.
Yes.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Craig, for everything you did. And you too, Erik. Thank you.
Thank you. Both of you. All of you.
Very good. Yeah. And I know I've never met Dustin, but I know him through my mutual friend Michael Epstein. So shout out to Michael out there.
Shout out to Michael. Michael Sophia.
Yes, both of them are very nice. They've let me sleep on their couch when they lived out here, and then I moved up to the futon when I was in LA. So
yeah. I forgot. There's a Hornet right behind you right now.
We get out of here.
We forgot to CGI Diane.
I'll do it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. That's fine.
Sounds great, man.
All right, thanks, guys, and we'll do this again sometime. It was very cool to meet everybody and talk to them.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Good night, everyone.